I'm highly spiritual. 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 I'm highly spiritual.
All right, peace and
Yes.
love, man. Gilda Grid, welcome to the Highly Emotional Podcast,
Yes.
bro. It's a pleasure to finally get you on the platform. I've been following you for the past couple months, and your video, your
Mm.
journey. I even pulled you up on YouTube, bro, and I seen your auditions, bro, and they were fire, bro. Like they were truly
Oh
dope.
wow.
But yeah, but to see you from that, I think it was like 8 years ago is what it said, to now, bro,
Yeah.
it's an honor to have you finally on my platform, the Highly Emotional Podcast. So thank you for being a part of
Thank you.
this.
Thank you
Um,
for having me, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
for sure. So you're in what, Australia?
Right now I'm in Indonesia, Bali at this
Oh, you
moment. So
okay?
that's why the connection's a bit. But I
You,
just came back from Australia actually.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
dope. Cause we had originally planned this maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it was like a lot of moving
Yeah.
on. You guys were gone, and now you're back, and somebody was like, "Yeah, we in
Exactly.
Australia," and yo, it's 7 o'clock in the morning here, bro. I just left the gym, bro. So I'm
Oh,
super pumped
I
for it, bro.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, love, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I had to make sure that this lined up, man. But yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Give me a little context of the journey that you're on right now, traveling, the message that you
Mm.
been compelled to tell
Yeah.
lately. There's a lot of messages that you didn't put up on your Instagram, but just tap in with me, give me some information of
Yeah.
what you got going on right now.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is a new phase also for us, and what I do with Amenti. Amenti is basically a community-based organization in which we strive to spread more self-awareness through the body, um, through different mediums, through physical, through the mental, through the emotional, and the spiritual. And this vehicle of Amenti has now been growing. It's now almost 9 years old, actually. And it started from a place where there was actually a big need for me to pull it back. Actually, I started in the Netherlands when I was 15. I started popping in hip hop dance culture. And basically, after several years, I found out there was something missing. There was something missing in that. And Amenti basically became now the vehicle for which I try to fill in that missing gap, which I found in my own youth. Um, Aligning, I always say, like, I call it street consciousness or grounded spirituality. It's not the fluffiness. It's not the, it's not the, I don't even say
Yeah,
it,
it's not the
but it's
fake
more
shit.
grounded.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. It's more the practical. It's more the day to day, which I needed, and specifically people who look like me need it. I always felt like spirituality, esoteric knowledge was not reachable, was distant. And Ament is now like the vehicle in which we try to distill all these ancient comedic or esoteric knowledge, spiritual modalities, or psychological components into a very tangible way, which people can just easily access to. Um, Also, coming back in community, coming in unity, and actually spreading love, unity, respect, having fun, the values of hip hop in that sense, with the knowledge of self. And right now we're traveling a bit. I'm 33, and I made the choice to just for once in my life to get outside Babylon for once, to just be in a different place. And that's why we're now in Indonesia, but also going to travel around the world and taking a hiatus for myself from the usual, but also taking a place to absorb new things, new cultures, um, but also giving back to the local communities where we are. So that's basically where we are so far and on our journey. Um, and it's been lovely. It's been lovely to go to Australia and still see people like really open, even if I come from the other side of the world, and it's special, it's deep, and to do that with fam, to do that with tribe, with the people you started 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that's the biggest blessing, man. It's the biggest blessing for real. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's motivation. I think that we're definitely in a time where people like spirituality, the truth is coming out. It's not just, clouds and peace and love, brothers. It's not that.
no,
It's a way more complex, deep, diverse,
yes,
in-depth relationship with self. You know what I'm saying? It's
mm,
really like
mm,
people don't understand that spirituality is not just your light, but your shadow and how you address your shadow and
exactly,
deal with your shadow and use your shadow. You have to figure out
exactly,
when to be one with that, because if not, if you spend all this time, trying to be peace, love, and light, eventually your shadow gonna
yeah,
catch up to you. You're gonna find yourself in a situation where you're like, yo, why am I reacting this way? And so
exactly,
when I see you're dancing, bro, I think that is dope. I've been doing music in the music industry for 15 years, bro. I'm an artist myself,
dope,
but
dope.
my spirit told me it's time for me to talk and
Mm,
have conversations with people, bring us together. And when it
mm,
comes to music, also what I see in your
mm.
dance is that you incorporate the natural uh essence of using your shadow in your dance to display and compel and show the story to the people. But also when I heard you speak, because you said something about shit,
Yeah.
it was I'm gonna let you like chop it up your way, but the way that you broke it down, hey, it was perfect. It aligned, bro. We all have to deal with our shit. But I'll let you,
Mm,
go ahead. If you could dive
mm,
into that, the
mm.
shit concept.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's thank you for actually also seeing that, man. I appreciate it. I mean, it takes one to recognize one, So I appreciate that, and yeah, I think it has to do with the same way I actually, yeah, how this whole path actually opened up. Um, they always say that dance is self-expression, and you know, but I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. I was not allowed to dance in general. I was not allowed to express and everything. So a lot of the suppression of emotions and just being free. Actually, I grew up in a cult basically, so I got prohibited a lot. And dance was one of those things that actually my parents and the church actually did not allow me to do. So there was always this essence, this do or die mentality. Like, yo, if dance and movement is so strong for me, man, I need to burn bridges for it. And it was always connected to this raw, painful aspect of me because I expressed myself to be free, but that freedom came with a big cost
Mm,
to be free. And so basically, I I started to make the choice to become a dancer. Burned bridges, had no contact with my parents for years, etc., etc. So there was a lot of anger in it. Of course, I was living my life, but I also had a lot of resentment to my family not supporting me, and etc., etc. And when I was 21, I experienced a psychosis, and that, let's say, a psychosis. Back then we would call it psychosis. Now it's a spiritual awakening.
mm-hmm.
But it was deep. It was dark. It was several days, and I actually experienced multiple of those bad episodes. And what I saw happening then was my dance changed like overnight. How I expressed, like suddenly that shit suddenly became like on the forefront. And
Mm,
I always wonder. Back then, I asked myself, like, "Yo, what?" Like, I moved, and that stuff came out naturally, like, wah, wah, wah. And certain things that happened in my psychosis or spiritual awakening, I already expressed months prior, as if my body knew that it was coming. And so, basically, from that point on, finding movement medicine and finding a way to actually, like, okay, what does this mean? What does this symbol mean? What does this code mean to the body? There was always this very deep connection with the shadow because I knew that part was coming out. That part was coming out in those moments. And this also comes from Western African spirituality in general. You have your day version, or you have your night version. And often in the cloudy spirituality, we talk about being a light person, indeed what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but actually the notion is to become a whole person, to integrate
Mm.
day and night. And I can express my day version easily. That's me. But I usually use my dance to express the raw aspects which I find hard to put in words. And actually, with dance and movement, how we apply it is for actually that's one of the modules we use to integrate, to actually create a relationship. And I actually started to create a relationship with my shadow. I call it a name. I can use it. I can embody it. And by actually embodying it, it got me to understand it. I know exactly what makes it tick, how it moves, what symbols and codes it uses, when it's triggered. And that triggered and all those things are actually directly connected to my trauma, my own trauma, the
Mm.
my coping mechanisms, which when I experienced some hard shit, I did not knew how to handle that. So by composting your own shit, basically, by composting your own shit, it's like that's part of your shit. And normally we just look at that and we don't do anything with it.
Mm.
But just with eco toilets and everything, there's a lot of energy and fuel in our shit.
Yeah.
And we just need to, we got to do the dirt
Yeah,
to
we need to
sometimes
use
unpack
it.
it,
Yeah, we need to
but
use it.
transform it into fuel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So in
that's
short, it's always been tied to this way of expression with that.
yeah, that's the most beautiful thing. I think that the shadow is one of the most beautiful things I've experienced once I took my mask off, my villain mask, my victim mask. Once I released that
Yeah,
and I accepted my shadow. Like, so this is called the highly emotional podcast. But I used to think being
mm,
emotional was my weakness. But I didn't realize until,
mm,
like, once I started this, and even now I'm still realizing it more,
mm,
is that being emotional, being empathetic, being in tune with your shadow is your
sure,
superpower, bro. Like I look at
sure.
myself and I look at you, and I know that when it comes to the way that we project to the hive mind of the world, it's not
Yeah,
what you think it is. But when you truly hear our spirit speak, you hear
yeah,
someone who has truly aligned with what you would call the frequency of God. That psychosis that you're
yeah.
talking about, that spiritual
Mm,
awakening, is where you kind of like touch God. It's like, oh shit. So this is God. The whole time what you guys were telling me
yeah.
about God may not be authentically God. and
Mm-hmm,
and so when I
mm-hmm,
look at these things, when I hear people talk about the shadow, I try to express to people it's not about being perfect. And this is what sitting down with like a
mm,
a Buddhist monk taught me, because I sat down with him last year. He said, go beyond duality. So when we go beyond duality,
mm-hmm,
you realize that your shadow serves its purpose, your light serves its purpose, and you have to bring them together to create alchemy. That's how you transform your reality.
exactly,
That's how you
exactly.
that's how you become Gil the Grid, who's off the grid right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you become. And so, facts. So that's the thing. It's like when people hear people say like, "Yo, you gotta manipulate the matrix. You gotta transform your reality." Everybody makes it seem like it's something super fictional, but it's something so easy, but hard at the same time, because you have to learn how to accept the things that are happening. You have to question everything. You have to say, "Why am I like? Why am I reacting this way? What about this offends me so much, and where did it originate from?" And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times those emotions that you're suppressing, those things that you don't want to address, are things
Yeah,
that you've been subconsciously allowing to control you your entire life.
yeah,
So you
yeah, yeah.
so you have to question why am I this way? But I was gonna say, what's your what did you give your name? I'd say that mine is my demon. So it's two sides,
Mm-hmm.
his
Yeah.
Japanese name is Kensuke Yoramato. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's him. My light side is
Oh,
Tuesday Night Swim, but I call it my demon. What did you call your shadow? You know?
I call it actually my demon too. It's like normalizing. I call it my demon.
Yeah,
And its name is Ankh. Actually, Ankh. I call it Ankh
like the
actually,
Ankh.
and it is kind of like, yeah. It actually had a different name, and then I heard it in the journey. I heard it as Ankh, Ankh, and the link became with Ankh, as in the cycle. And also weird little coincidence. I found out I use tutting a lot, and I then clicked the name with Tunt Akamon, and was like, oh, there's some levels in that.
That's
I'm
fine.
still actually finding out what the connection is and why the name Ankh came in, but there's a very strong connection to Kemet actually, and that's why we also embody the name or bring Amenti back. But yeah, Ankh is um, my damon's shadow's name, and it actually I use a lot of psychology as well to understand the ego, and um, I have a view of seeing the ego, and everybody has the ego, but what I try to utilize is to have a language in ego and egoic understanding, and that there's also egoic archetypes. Just as we have deities and everything, there's also egoic archetypes, and there's certain big archetypes which fall into the same egoic characteristics. For example, so an example in my case, I would be called the schizoid, the creative, um, egoic structure, which has a hard time being rooted in this planet. That's why there's a lot of energy in the upper regions, the upper chakras, and the upper wheels, because they actually dissociate easily. So one of my coping mechanism was to escape a harsh family unit, was to dissociate, to go in my head, to not be here physically.
Hmm.
However, my shadow, my demon, also has let's say, certain characteristics, which follows a different ego archetype actually. And my shadow Ankh is more of a challenge defender. Like if you challenge him, he defends. And it's
Hmm.
actually the aspect of me which I found lacking in my childhood. When I got bullied, I made myself small. And actually I found that the bigness actually lacking. So it's in our method and how we teach, we see a lot of people actually, and I think that's one of the reasons why people have a hard time recognizing the shadow, because they think it like identifies directly to their day, and usually it's has some oppositional traits, not necessarily negative, but opposite. So if
Hmm.
I would be depressed and I cannot reach my joy, I'm like, yo, life is lifing me right now. I can't seem to find joy. Actually, that quality of joy is in my demon, is in my shadow,
Hmm.
because I see it as now part of myself. And I think a lot of people often see as the shadow, the demon, is just as the negative qualities, but it's everything opposite. I used to think I could not stand up for myself. Ankh is loud AF. Like he's there. Like he's the loyal fighter. Like if someone steps on disrespect, he comes out, which is really different than my day version, who's really accepting and forgiving. And
Hmm.
I think that notion helped me a lot to understand how my shadow works and actually utilize it for good. Because at certain moments, we need to be Uncle Martin. But at certain moments, we need to be Uncle Malcolm. Like we have Martin, we have Malcolm. And
Hmm.
sometimes we got to choose, peace and sit. But sometimes, you got to let them know.
I gotta
And that
smash you.
balance.
Yeah, you fucking
Exactly.
with the wrong one today,
Exactly.
Bucko. Yeah, facts. So
Exactly.
so let me ask you a question.
Exactly.
What are the egoic archetypes? Because I never heard nobody say that before.
Um,
If you could give,
okay.
like, I mean, I'll figure
So
it out regardless. But if you know it,
yeah, you like
drop it off. I'm writing it down. This notes.
so the egoic archetypes come from Jungian psychology, and why why I dive into Jungian psychology. We have Eastern spirituality, African embodiment, Mesoamerican plant medicine, and in the West, we study the mind. So there are some psychological components that we can take with for sure. Jung Come CJ, he was on some things. Of course, he was
Mhm.
not perfect, but he was on to some things. And his students actually mapped out different egoic archetypes based on certain root traumas that share. And you have six major ones. And the first one is called the schizoid or the creative. Then we have the lover, the oral, for example. The third one is the endurer or the masochist, for example. So there's a nicer word for it or the psychological component for it. The third one was the endurer, the masochist. The fourth one is the rigid, goal-orientated. Fifth one is the expressive, the hysterical, let's say. And the sixth one is the challenger defender, the rebel, basically. And those six, there's a couple more, but those are the major ones. Um, Actually shape based on certain similar wounds. So the people who have schizoid have a hard time being grounded and rooted because their main core wounds are in having their right to exist being challenged, having a hard family unit, or etc. etc. The endurers share a similar wound with having a hard time following their will. And that, let's say, their solar plexus is damaged or weak, and their life journeys and their egos is governed around finding their will. Goal orientated, for example, have a hard time, and the biggest wound is in their hearts because they think like I need to achieve things in order to receive love. The love of the oral, for example, the main wound is in the sacral, in the water, for example, because they feel like I need other people to be whole. And the challenge defender, for example, have a hard time submitting. They feel like power is something inherently bad, but they have a fear of submitting and actually want to be held as well. So based on certain major wounds, those wounds become coping mechanisms. And these coping mechanisms start to become behavior, and that behavior starts to become a part of our character. And then our ego shapes in that. And that's why we can recognize certain traits, certain triggers in other people who have a similar egoic archetype as us. We're like, oh man, I get why you get mad at that. And with certain people, we don't understand it at all. We're like, man, why did you get triggered from that? It's nothing.
Mm.
So if we have that in a day version, we also have the shadow version, who actually also follows a different egoic archetype. And then you actually have this weird, unique combination. For example, maybe you're a creative endurer, which you have schizo personalities in your shadow, which is the creative, but your day version is the endurer. I endure shit. I can take the pain from others as well. And that actually creates a different, completely unique relationship between it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but yeah.
that's deep. That makes me think like, yo, my shadow be living a whole different life than me. You know what I'm saying? Like how you're putting it together because it sounds like there's two
Mm-hmm.
versions of me and they have two different traumas. They have two. Does my shadow have a shadow? You know what I'm saying? Like when you're saying that, I'm like, what's the
Yeah.
shadow of my shadow? What's like asking all these
Mm.
questions and then it just made me realize also that with all these different archetypes, I can be a different one at different times. That's that's basically
Exactly,
what it feels
exactly.
like. Cause like now, cause I was bullied as a kid too, bro. Like, and I remember
Mhm.
it made me a follower or a coward at that time. And then
Yeah, yeah,
as I
yeah.
started getting into my 30s, I'm 35 now, right? Now
Mm.
you can't trick me out of being who I am. Like I'm kind of an extremist now. Like I tell people like when it comes to my demon, he be in my house and he's like, "Yo, if anybody breaks in, I'm gonna eat their eyes." I'm like, "What the like, bro, what you talking about? Like, bro, chill out. Like, chill. And I'm married and I got six kids and he's like, yo, anybody touch one of these motherfuckers,
Mm.
they're gonna die. And I'm like, yo, bro, like chill. Like, yo, we just hanging out. We just playing Fortnite, bro. Like, calm down, bro. Like, why you thinking like that? So it's like I need to start
Night, night.
asking this nigga, like, I need to start asking him, like, yo, who hurt you, bro? Like you said that. You said that anger
Hey.
hey, you gotta say who hurt you. You can't just say I'm sorry. It's like, yo, you know what did I do? Let me know so I can be a better version
Yeah,
of myself. What did I do?
yeah,
And a lot of times, like you saying that, but I'm gonna let you jump into it. But a lot of
mm-hmm,
times when you hurt somebody, it's not even you that hurt them.
yeah,
It's someone that hurt them, hey, a long time ago. You
mm-hmm,
just happen to be the cherry on the top.
yep, yeah,
But go ahead.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Anger masks hurt, man, and um, anger is a protective mechanism that we all have, actually, and specifically in this day and age with society, we've often been taught that anger um, is something inherently bad, but it also has to do with different demographics. For the majority, for example, for I I teach a lot of people from different demographics. Specifically, white people, for example, have a completely different relationship with anger than, for example, people of color. There are certain instances and people like who come into my workshops who actually never get punished, and I'm like, what? And I actually see, like, it sounds a bit fucked up to say, but I'm actually like, I look at them like, man, you should have been punished because you have like you are a couple steps back in life,
Yeah, eating
shit,
ass whooping.
like. Yeah, it's like y'all be too soft. I mean, but anger always masks hurt, and it's there to protect. And actually, when we feel anger coming up, it's not usually the person that actually, indeed, what you said, that hurts us in that moment. It's often connected to triggers and traumas and different patterns or recognitions or things that we project upon people. But it's also sometimes the avoidance of hurt. So we expect somebody, we already see somebody moving to a direction. We're like, nah, I know this. So this anger comes up in order to protect yourself from even more hurt. And I think for example, in your example, why your demon like comes in like, yo, so for your family or for your kin, for example, you get so angry and that energy actually becomes an active energy for you to protect. And anger is the emotion that is the channel of fuel for protection. See, when we are angry, we take distance from the people or the object that hurts us. We say no, basically. And a lot of people have a warped relationship with anger. See, I got, for example, discipline, very, very strict, and in that sense, I don't have a necessarily a bad relationship with people expressing their authority. I'm like, yo, don't do this. I'm like, all right, cool. I got you. While other people have a different relationship with anger. And it always has to do with this level of hurt. And usually it changes the whole conversation when people are angry at each other. And instead of saying, why are you angry? Why are you angry? Asking each other, yo, where does the hurt lie? Because usually the hurt is not even in this direct event that is happening. It's a remembrance, recall. It's a trigger. It's a trauma. And we walk with a lot of those wounds in our body from day to day. Like we are so accustomed to keep on keeping on that we don't even are aware of how much wounds or things that we have in our body. Even when we do the healing work, because I always say the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. And if you keep on leveling up our light, your shadow is going to keep on leveling with you because it's always there. It also gets clever. It gets clever. You can, yeah.
This guy
It's
gotta
like,
chill
but
out,
it's
bro.
like chill. But I think, in a sense, by naming it, by actually integrating it, you can use your shadow in moments when you need to express the other side. Because my anger and my shadows also goes hand in hand. It is the aspect when I used to battle these dance battles. If you were nice to me, man, you would win the battle. Like if you were nice, like yo, I respect you. I'm like, yeah, I go soft. But if you disrespect me, like you do a taunt,
I'm gonna cook your shit.
yo, I'm just like, okay. And I
Yeah,
go beast mode. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
I go in. So utilize that aspect, like when you need to protect your shit and protect your values. And a lot of spirituality practices talk about love and light, but it's also this archetype of the spiritual warrior, you know, that do fight. Because for me, fighting is also a spiritual practice, and not fighting to hurt, but to protect, you know? And that goes hand in hand in anger. And if we have anger, we also feel like we want to change the situation. Because when we're angry at something or the situation, that situation hurts us, and that becomes a motivation for us to change something. Orlando Jones, in American Gods, favorite scene, he plays the role of Anansi, like one of those gods, and he's like on a basically they're on a slave ship, and then slaves are like praying to Anansi, 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 please save us. And this time he shows up, and he comes in with his whole notion like, yo, instead of I'm gonna save you, he's like, yo, this shit is gonna be messed up. You're gonna be bound in chains for hundreds of years. So
Mm.
basically, he told them, yo, destroy the shit, jump ship, because your kids and your next of kin will be enslaved, etc., etc. And basically, he coined in the phrase which I embodied a lot and said, "You feel this anger, you feel this rage. I know, because anger gets shit done." And
Mm.
that line, and the whole of Amenti is actually got born out of anger. Like I was mad at how things were. I was mad at how people presented spirituality and everything and etc. You probably were mad, and the reason why you started this podcast because, like, man, some people be talking about
Yo,
this
yeah,
shit.
yeah. You. I ain't gonna lie. I like I tell people I like one thing I hate about is I hate extreme situations. I'm an extremist, but I hate extreme shit. I hate extremists. Like I see people to capitalize off of spirituality, and I'm like, no, y'all lying to people so that they think that you super and then you want to be celebritied and then you get exposed and I'll be like
Yep.
that's not spiritual. Like but then once again I'm judging,
Mm-mm.
right? And so I look at it and I was just like, nah, I
Mm.
respect you. Cool. Like you have some valuable information because
Mhm.
I can tune my frequency. I know when God
Mm.
is speaking. I know when God is using somebody, good or bad.
Yeah.
I know how to
Yeah.
find that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I oh your shit going crazy over there. Is that like a plane?
Yeah. There was like a hard that one. Yeah. But continue.
So I see a lot of people like in the spiritual community and I'll be like I respect what you're doing, but at the same time, it's bullshit. It's bullshit because you are giving people a false hope and you want them to spend their money for something that you're giving them of, and then you're making
Exactly.
them reliant on that. Like that's gonna give them their spiritual essence. Let's say crystals, right?
Okay.
I got crystals. I fuck with
Yeah.
crystals
Yeah.
heavy. They dope, right? But
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
not giving my power to the crystal. It's a tool. I got
Mm.
sound bowls and tongue drums and I got all this shit. But
Mm.
without me, that tongue drum is just an object. It's not. It does not hold
Exactly.
the power. It's within me. So at that point, you got to save yourself. So yeah, I started the podcast because I just realized that a lot of people was doing the bullshit and it didn't it didn't display what I was feeling inside. It was bullshit. It was like, yo, no, that's not
Exactly.
spirituality. And then I feel like everything is structured. Like so I feel like when I went to visit Michael Singer, who he wrote the Surrender Experiment. So I went to his place and it was white people.
Mm.
Then I went to the black. I'm in Atlanta, so I went to the black places where the black spiritual
Mm.
people is, and then I went to meditate with a Buddhist monk, and I looked at it and I was like, damn,
Mm.
all these people are spiritual, but they're separate. It's not like that's
Yeah.
not it for me. We're still dividing ourselves. We're still making it a gang,
Exactly.
spiritual gangbang. And then the competition is One person over here
Exactly.
says this is spiritual or spirituality, and this is spirituality. And then when I tell people, yeah, I'm spiritual, I'm into like spirituality, then they put me in one or the other boxes. But the thing about
Those
it is
boxes. Yeah.
I'm not for neither one of the boxes. I'm for me. I'm just for me. I want people
Exactly.
to find God, spiritual light, all whatever words you want to use. I want them to find it in
Mm.
them. Not coming to me and relying on me. It's directly in you. So yeah, you exactly right, bro. When I heard people doing this shit, I was like, man, this is some bullshit. But y'all on some bullshit.
Bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? So you're right,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, and that became the motivation for you to actually do something different, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because it's also you do things in a different way, and exactly that's why I resonate with that, because this is something, for example, even this podcast. If this was like 12 years ago, like during my psychosis, this would have saved me, and I think it's important to have these projects and these manifestations, and not the same as manifestations, but these manifestations for other people who practice something not fitting in one of those boxes. And I think one of the problems right now is also indeed what you said is divide between different demographic and different ways of spirituality. See, there's a lot of differences to be seen, and for me, spirituality is actually, if I put it back in essence, if I have to put one word in what spirituality for me is, it's humility. It's to be so humble down, and not saying that I'm like lesser, but actually the knowing of that there's so much more, that I matter, but at the same time I don't matter, because we, there's so much more, and that humbles me so much that I'm just keep on doing my part. I'm just a grain of salt, like in a spectrum, and that grain of salt is important, because without those grains of salt, or grain of sand, for example, there's no beach.
Mm.
But we all moving together, and that is for me spirituality. I always say, like, if there's multiple things saying the same thing, that same thing is the truth. There's just different dialects, different ways, different languages.
Mm. That's I agree. Yeah, like you know what, like looking at you, looking at me, like there's certain things where
Mm.
I be telling people, I'm like, what also pisses me off is like the masculinity versus femininity thing. I look at you and I look at me, bro. You don't
Mm.
come off as a, yeah, this and that. And I'm not like, bro, I'm gonna be honest. I be seeing masculine men and I be like, yeah, he
Mm.
he got mommy issues. He sound like a single black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm real
Exactly. Yeah,
disrespectful.
exactly.
But the thing
Exactly.
about it is like I begin comments on the internet whenever I talk like this. They're like, yeah, this is a beta male. I'm like, bro, I don't even know what the fuck that is. All I know is I'm on man time. And if you're not willing to die about it, you're not willing to go to war. Hey, hey, listen here. Hey, stay on your side. So it's what's crazy because I look at how you present yourself, bro. It's very like, not gonna say feminine because that's not what it is, but it's very like, yo, I'm with the
Yeah.
motion. Let me
Mm.
catch a vibe. But then you said you was like, yo,
Yeah.
I could really be on some like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I kill your family, like for real, for real. So how do you
Yeah.
how do you remain this so like, hey, peace and love while still being your shadow? How do you remain that? Like I know you do the
Yo.
dancing, but like it has to be something more within your mind to allow you to
Yeah.
create this in your
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, it's hard, man. I gotta be honest, it's hard, because there are moments which I'm like, yo, no, Actually, today I just finished a workshop. It was actually the first workshop in Bali, and like certain people pissed me off, like this pretentiousness of, you can see the thing, and actually one of those person actually, I called her Miss Rager. She had a raging moment. She did not agree, and she didn't feel safe, and etc. Basically, just policing me. because I'm doing things in a way that is not for her as a white woman living in Bali, etc., etc. And in that moment, like there is an aspect, there is this voice, is like, yo, just wanna. But
Bitch,
also,
I want to
what
choke you.
helps me in that motion is, yes, like I don't know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what helps in that moment is, I think a lot of eventually like doing a lot of shadow work and understanding where it comes from. But I've been diving into masculinity a lot. See, I come from a household where my dad was a bit passive, and my mom was very present. And I actually look alike like my mom. Like how I teach is actually how my mom is, basically. And there is this. Let's go back to young, for example, this aspect called anima animus, right? They're this female archetype within the male psyche, and this male archetype within the feminine psyche, for example. And it's a very interesting thing. I think you can like look it up more. And it's a very interesting theory that, for example, your partner resembles, in our case, our anima. And our anima is usually the first feminine or female archetype that we know. And it's usually our moms.
Mm.
So basically, in life, we try. It sounds a bit woof, but we actually are drawn to people who kind of resembles that first relationship that we had with our moms, because they taught us about womanhood. So by actually,
No wonder my wife is so
actually
rude.
she like, they trigger the living hell out of us because we know
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but somehow that also draws us because that's familiar.
yeah, yeah. But go
and
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'm listening.
and so basically also knowing that the aspects that I look out also in me, and basically we come from two parents, a father and a mother, and there's also we are 50-50. And so there's also this aspect where I got from my mom. See, most black women in general didn't have the most time to express their feminine side. They had to be both. My At least my mom had to be both. They had to be
Same,
tough as
same.
well, but also soft.
Yeah.
So the majority of masculinity I actually saw or learned also from my mom in that sense.
Mm.
Just to show up, just to keep on keeping on, and this and this and this and this. And there's this interesting theory. I think this notion of toxic masculinity, I used to believe in it, but for me, I start to shift into a notion of that's actually a lack of masculinity, and not the masculinity that we know, like the yo yo yo, because that ain't masculine at all. See, if the family, for example, needs a container for it to flourish, we need to be that container. And for me, I think what I'm seeing is actually a lack of healthy masculinity.
Mm.
And I think, in our sense, being highly emotional as a man is to also be able to protect our partner or women who, for in a physical way, often experience a lot more unsafety. But we only see that as physical, not emotional safety. And actually, us being more emotional intelligent, literate, allows our partners to even feel more safe on the emotional ladder, which allows their feminine to flourish even more. So I think that is that dance between. It's not the one and the other. And I would consider myself a pretty, let's say I would be 60% feminine energy, for example. I'm still a man in that
Yeah,
sense.
facts, facts. I mean, I definitely like that's the thing. Like when people say that shit, like I'm like, anytime I hear somebody like be the loudest in the room, I instantly be like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a bitch. He's a bitch. Because if like and I'm cool with some homies that are like that. Some of my homies are just like that.
Yeah.
But if I'm in
Yeah.
a room and I don't know you and you the loudest man, the real nigga in the room, if that's what you are, the
Yeah.
instantly
Yeah.
in my
Yeah. Yeah.
head, I say, yeah, that's a bitch. That's gonna be the
Hmm.
first one to either call the police, tell the police to run. He's going to
Yeah.
be the one that gets us in whatever type of situation. So when I look at that, that's how kind of like when it comes to being a man, I
Mm-hmm.
realize that I taught myself what my value of a man is. And I have a son, and with my son, I got the second one on the way, but
Mm-hmm.
with my son, I can be
Mm-hmm.
feminine and nurturing with
Yes.
him. I can
Yeah.
hug him and kiss him, but then I also have to be stern with him sometimes too.
Exactly.
And the thing about it is like as a
Yeah.
true man, there is nothing in this world that can tell you what is a man and what's not a man, because if you are a man, you have to live your life as a man. Even if you are transitioning,
Exactly.
you still
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with the world still looking at you and treating you like a man, especially if they know,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing is like as a man, when I hear people talk about a masculine man and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a masculine man at all. I don't. If I have to prove to you that I'm something. So I was talking to one of my homies the other day, right? And I
Exactly.
haven't talked to him in a couple years. So I called
Mm.
him and we hop on FaceTime, and the first thing he says, "Hey man, I got God in my life now." I said, I stopped because a lot of times when people say something, they like I
Yeah.
want to respond. But I'm thinking in my head, I'm
Yeah.
like, when the fuck wasn't God in your life?
Uh-huh.
That's the thing.
Mm.
So who are you trying to
Mm.
convince? You trying to convince me that God is in
Mm.
your life, or you trying to convince
Yeah.
you God is in your life? Because I already know God is in everybody's life at all times. God is
Mm.
forever present. God is
Mm-hmm.
the dark as much as God is the light. If you really
Exactly.
tapped in, you
Yeah.
understand that. So when he said that, and then he followed by, yeah, I, hey, I don't really drink no more. The drinking got me to drinking got me locked up, and I'm like, how could a drink get you locked up?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
got you locked up, but God was still
Mm-hmm.
with you at that time. Oh,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
you trying to find validation from me by telling me what
Yeah.
you think that I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
people do with masculinity and men, and in our culture of black men, and we always
Yeah.
searching for validation. If you are, are what
Exactly.
you are, bro. I tied it my face. This is who I am. You look the way that you
Exactly.
are, but that doesn't make you less of
Exactly.
who you are. I don't need to explain.
Exactly.
Hey, we
Exactly.
can die, and I could be on that time, or I could be a peace, love, and light, brother. I love you. I love you,
Exactly.
brother. But if you
But
fuck up and hurt me,
but it
I
also
might kill you. You know?
but in a sense, the notion with that external validation makes sense because growing up, we didn't have much role models to validate our existence, So I think that's one of the aspects of masculinity that we keep seeking within each other, like that validation. Because in actuality, this whole presence of what a real man is, having your shit together, in essence, we all failing at that. I always call the patriarchy true masculinity as it is right now. It's like Fight Club. We don't talk about it. Like we don't talk about you not feeling man enough or not being uh, important enough, for example. Um, so we all try to mask our flaws within the existing frame of what masculinity is because no one actually lives up. The loudest one in the room, like you said, he's the bitch. He's actually vulnerable as hell,
Yeah.
but he's masking that up so hard to get validation. Like, yo, I ain't soft, and actually, he wants to hear, yo, you got yourself, man. But they present themselves in a completely different way, and it's when I found out that most of us are like failing in the traditional masculine frame. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to be emotional, this. I realized and I looked around and I actually saw the majority of men actually suffering is because of that stigma of this is what a man needs to be. You need
Mm.
to have this, you need to have seven zeros on your thing, and this, and do this, and this, you have to have success, blah, blah, blah. And all those things, it's dehumanizing as fuck because it gives little room for softness, from being not able to. You know what? Yo, there's moments when I cannot provide. Damn, does that make me less of a man suddenly?
Mm, yeah.
Like I lost my footing. Am I suddenly not a man anymore? And it's so tied to achievements, you know? Oof. But yeah,
Is
that's
No, no, no. That's it. That's the thing. It definitely is. Everyone wants that validation, and our culture is telling us that providing what providing what makes you a man. Providing love, providing financial stability. Bro, we live in a real world where balance is everything. So chances are it's gonna swing to the left sometimes,
exactly.
and that doesn't make me less of a man. Um, somebody said to me, they said, fuck, I just had it in my head. Um, fuck, I just lost my thought. Cause it was the great it was a great analogy. But like a lot of times like people just we think that this is a man. Oh yeah, this is what he said. He said I said this. I
Mm,
said, people don't understand that I love you so much I'm willing to die for you. And he said, yeah,
mm,
but nah, are you willing to live for them? That's the thing. Like now, I still like, bro, I still suffer from trauma, bro. Shadow work is a never ending fucking journey, bro. It really is. I
mm,
deal with shadow work every day, bro.
mm.
If I'm in the gym and I look at myself and I think
Exactly.
about my father being
Yeah.
overweight and having diabetes, I'm dealing with that shadow because I don't want to look like
Mm,
that motherfucker.
mm,
I don't want to deal with that shit. Shadow work is a never
mm,
ending journey, bro.
mm,
So when it comes
mm,
to depression, I'm
mm.
like, man, I kill myself and reset. That's my shadow. My shadow's like that. But my light,
Mm,
it says, I got 6 kids. And if I'm gonna live for anybody, I'm gonna
mm,
live for them. And I gotta live for
mm,
me. So that's the thing. A lot of
mm.
us as a man, you'll say, I'll die for you. I'm the one who, yeah, but I'm gonna live for you too. I'm
Exactly. That's
gonna
more
make sure I
important,
make a
actually. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I make a decision that I don't have to die.
Hmm.
I'm gonna make
Yes.
whatever, let me every single situation. Let me think about this before, okay, all right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
live for you. That's I
Yeah.
think I think that might be the better thing is like I'm willing to
For
live
sure.
for you. I'm willing to give my all. I'm willing to do what it takes to continuously be a work, to
Hmm.
continue to be the best version of myself that I can be. That I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
sounds more masculine than everything else that everybody puts on us. These it goes back to something that
Yeah,
you
man.
said. We think that our purpose is so big in the world, bro. We are a speck. It's what's
Yeah.
crazy is that you don't matter, but you matter because you're matter. Like
Yes.
like what? Like what? Like you get what I'm saying? Like bro, you serve no purpose, but yet you think that you are this big thing, but you serve a small purpose, but you matter. You matter to the
Exactly.
universe. You have to exist. And so
Exactly. Exactly.
understanding that, hey bro, you gonna die. I think that's the thing is like understanding death. Not being
Yeah.
afraid of it and
Yeah.
realizing like, bro, your purpose is so small to the world. Like when you die, that's it. You live and to die, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make the best of it. Enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
Experience it to the
Yeah.
highest, the highest form that you can.
Yeah. For sure. I think one of my biggest spiritual teachers, if I would say it, is one is darkness. Darkness is for me is just being surrounded by darkness and the void is one of my biggest teachers, but also death. And I think what you just said, I make death a part of my life. It's like in my personal spiritual path, death is one of those themes that pop up a lot of times. But just the knowing and actually accepting the fact that actually truly acknowledging, yo, I'm gonna die. Like I will die. Most people actually live their life with somewhere the belief in what they do, how they show up in life, as if they will be immortal. I can do this later. I can do this later. I can, I
Mm.
can do this in 20 years, etc., etc. And actually, we all die, and the notion of death made it so for me to acknowledge the fact that I end, and therefore there's a certain urgency behind what I do, but that urgency is not the end goal.
Yeah.
Because in the end, what do I leave behind? And that legacy or what I leave behind is even more important than my ego, whatever. I always say people are now more focused on being the helper rather than being focused on the help.
Bars.
And I think it's about the help. I think it's about the help and just knowing like, yo, in this moment, I can be of help and I can become better at helping people. And there's moments, facts, if I'm being truly transparent, like a couple months ago, I stopped teaching for a couple months because I noticed for myself, yo, my capability of helping ain't what it ain't what it could be. I need time for myself. That's also one of the reasons why I'm here a bit. And then I just stop doing rather than having this egoic notion of, yo, this is who I am. I need to do this. I need to do this. Because I just realized, yo, my ability to help is declining a bit. That and the help is important to me, the helper. So I just let other people take that space. I'm like, yo, I, I take in the back seat on this one and actually take the time to work on that. And I think if people acknowledge that more, just to be of help rather than the helper, it gets rid of so much ego, so much of this things that we see in spirituality, and actually also that's why it's for me that's why it's for me it's like humility, you know. It's spirit, it's God. It's showing me the way how I can be of help, but it's not about me actually. And we all trying to have our unique contributions to the world to help each other. You know?
Yeah, I think that's when you can finally be one with your purpose that isn't a purpose at all. You we spend so
Yeah.
much time like, what's my purpose? Am I supposed to, bro? I thought I was supposed to be the biggest rapper in the world. I'm talking about bigger than Drake. That's what I believed my purpose was. But then my
Mm.
spirit said, nah, your purpose is something a little different. And I'm like what is it? Hey,
Yeah.
just to talk. Just to talk, because nobody is doing it like this. No one is providing this space the way that I'm doing it, bro. I don't care if you're Christian,
Mm.
Catholic. I can find God in everybody's
Yeah.
conversation. So not everybody's
Mm.
not doing it this way. And I realize
Beautiful. Yeah.
this music has brought me to this. And then even going back to music, because I kind of been taking like a little break
Yeah.
from music. Like I'm making different. The music I'm making is different. It's like spiritual trap music. And so I've been taking a break from it, but my spirit was
Mm.
like, it's okay to take a break from it, bro. Sometimes you gotta take a break and reconnect, or disconnect to reconnect. I had locks, long ass dreads, my shit like
Exactly.
here for 10 years. And a couple days before my 35th birthday, my spirit told me cut my hair. I self-sabotaged myself. And with that being said, I
Mm.
realized that sometimes I gotta shed things or put them on a break. Now my spirit is like, yo, hey, maybe in a couple months or a year from
Exactly.
now, we're gonna put them bitches back in. But
Exactly.
enjoy
Exactly.
this now. Enjoy the time off. Enjoy that break. And that's the thing. That is the spiritual journey, bro. The motion.
Yeah.
It's up
Yeah.
and down, up and down. But
Exactly.
the best part of it is, I think that we have to learn how to enjoy that. Enjoy
Yeah.
the low times. Enjoy the low
Yeah.
tides as much as you enjoy the high tides. And just,
Yeah.
be a part of the wave, man. Like truly
Mm.
embrace it. Sit back and observe, because I think that the down times are the times that we can learn, bro.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to learn something new. And then
For
you
sure.
present it to yourself and then come back with your teachings.
For sure, for sure. Sometimes I make this joke with my partner, like when we go into like a deep, deep downer period. Like last couple months, like November, December, oof, was deep down. And she often makes this joke. We look at each other like, as true alchemists, sometimes we hit rock bottom on purpose.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, sometimes, we go so deep, like subconsciously, it feels like spirit is actually saying, yo, you know, go down again because you can alchemize so much more again, which is actually needed because the majority of our learning does not, sounds a bit both. We can learn a lot when we are in a high because we learn a lot about what is possible. I used to say like light work is learning about love and um, receiving love because that's also a journey. I mean, if you give me love, then my first notion is to mirror that shit back. Like, oh, love, man, no, love you. Like,
Yeah,
that's
facts.
it's like hot coals. Like, oh shit, here's back, here's back.
Yeah,
To
facts.
receive love was a journey, but in shadow working, I always like to call shadow working is the is understanding why you deserve love. It's why you deserve love, despite all that. Why you still deserve love. And those two, we can learn a lot. But personally, in my journey, I learned a lot more about finding new moments and experiences, which actually, in the end, reminds me of, you know what? No matter how dark it gets, no matter how deep that chasm goes, or how much I feel like I don't matter at all, man, I'm out of it. Through shadow work, I always learn like, yo, I deserve this, man. I deserve love. Um, and that analogy helped me so much with understanding why I deserve love. But on the other hand, as well, it's mastery and becoming good at things is also important. It's a journey, but to true mastery or becoming great in certain things is spiritual as well. Because, for example, you're good at talking. I resonate with that because I used to not talk like
Same.
publicly. Like I did
Same.
this, like I decided to share my talk like a few years ago, and then it poofed because I
Same.
always thought people interested in me dancing. Like
Yeah.
that's funny. Like one of my boys was like, "Yo, man, you spit so much shit in your class. You should film it." I'm like, "Nah, bro. I'm a dancer." And he's the one who like filmed this. He's like
Same.
always the one that filmed it. And he put it, and then it blew up. And I realized like, yo, actually, this is one of those aspects because I like to talk and we have this great conversation. But when I become great and masterful at certain things, such as movement or in other aspect, maybe it's music or in conversations, it's important for people to become great or masterful in things because why? In this moment of November, December, I got burned out. I felt like, yo, man, I'm losing my shit. I'm losing my magic. See, if we become great or masterful in certain aspects of life, even if the shadow comes in, there's an aspect of reality that you have so much control over that it even combats your logical brains. Like, yo, you can't suck that much because, bro, when you teach, you do this and this, this. I'm like, fuck. And that helps me rebound so quick, more and more. Like you can apply that for yourself too. Like, yo, I do this. I can be so much of help to other people. There's no way I can truly suck, man. There's no way I can truly not matter.
I think that what's crazy is also with that mastery is that we get to a point where you mastered it and it's not as exciting anymore either. Bro,
That's also.
you've been dancing. I've seen your videos, bro. You've been dancing for a long ass time. So
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that you mastered. It's same thing with music, bro. I have over
Yeah.
3,000 songs. I didn't wrote songs for celebrities, like big
Mm.
singers, right? And the
Yeah.
thing about it is like I've mastered the shit, so it's nothing to just cut all my studio equipment on, hop
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
booth and make a song in 15 minutes that sounds like a radio hit.
Exact.
It's the
Exact.
fact is like once I it's kind of it kind of goes back to like those theories on like how they say like why men cannot be faithful to one woman is because when they conquer
Mm.
it, you know,
Mm.
it kind of
Mm.
loses its value. But that's the
Mm.
thing, it's like to maintain that relationship with your woman, if you did conquer her, you kind of
Yeah.
have to incorporate new elements.
Exact.
Hey babe, pull over the car real quick. Let's get crazy in the back seat. Like you
Exact.
kind of have
Exact.
to like reintroduce yourself to spontaneous creativity. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's
yeah,
how you
true,
continue that passion. That's how you maintain that
true.
relationship. So I mean, you're right. You do kind of have to not say necessarily take a break, but you
Yeah,
have to reinvent it. Once you master it, it's kind of like, okay, I mastered this shit. I already know I'm the
yeah,
shit. You kind of like,
yeah,
yeah, straight line, and then you
yeah,
like, all right, cool. So it's kind of cool making
yeah.
making a bad song actually might be motivation for me to be like, yo, this shit sucks. Let me get back up in here real quick. You know what I'm
Actually,
saying?
it's one of the most amazing things to like make stuff that you like you make a piece or whatever. You're like, yo, what is this? And actually, I think I've seen it somewhere lately. Like I think the biggest fear of artists is to make crappy shit,
Yeah.
and therefore we condone ourselves so much to do. This is what I know. This is what I know that we actually. That's one of the most biggest factors why we don't become creative anymore. Because the more we do something, the more afraid we just to suck at something.
I was just thinking, I was like, what if you compiled all those trash ass songs, trash ass whatever? What if those if you combine them and they happen to be your best shit? That's
Exactly.
that's what would be crazy is like people be like, yo, this is the best shit because it's so trash and it's so different because you're used
This
to
is what
all
we
this.
need.
Yeah,
yeah.
this is what we need. We need this trash ass song, right? So
yeah.
that's my thing is like, yeah, that writer's block or hit block or whatever
Mm.
we go through, that kind
Yeah.
of brings us back to where we're mastering things again. And that also gives you the time to like reinvent yourself, bro. Every couple of
Yeah.
months I go through these new changes of myself, learning something new, whether it's musically, whether it's spiritual, whether it's mentally.
Yeah.
It's just I'm constantly searching for something new because eventually I do get to that mastery level and it's like,
Yeah.
this shit boring.
Yeah.
I'm an
And-
Aquarius too, so I'm a big creative. So my wife, she'd be like, yo, you need to do this for this amount of time. And I'm like, man, fuck that shit. I already beat that shit. I already mastered that shit. I'm
yeah.
I'm the best dude at this shit. So
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
that's right though, bro. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to reinvent yourself. And the more, and that aspect is important as well because there's also this confidence that comes from it because you've mastered this and this, you add things on top of that. You know, it's important. What I always say, like that is life is about your true contribution to the world is actually this combination of different forms, art forms. See the fact that you make music and you like talking and you do this and you do this, all actually makes this new remix, so to speak. The fact that I love consciousness and embodiment and I love dancing makes it possible for me to actually come up with an embodiment practice that's different. You know, the fact that I listen to music so well makes me able to. I like to spin music. I like to DJ. I like to make my own mixtapes. It used to come from
yeah,
trips, like you take psychedelics. The thing I hated the most was like when you had to shuffle. I'm like, man, you like the more you're like, ah, shit, this track coming up. You're like, man, this shit is
yeah,
fucking up my house like
yeah.
that.
Skip this
So I
shit.
used to
Yeah,
actually make mixes like for hours long, but actually that aspect of learning how to listen to music, knowing how the trajectory and the journey comes, is something that I still apply in my classes as well. And every time you add something to that palette of mastery, you concoct something different, something new, something truly unique. And I think a lot of people are locked into the one thing, like I'm only good at this, and as soon as I um, do something else, they're afraid to lack again, to suck again. Um, Tiger Woods, for example, a beautiful example, um, killed, killed everything. He was winning, 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 but there was a moment when he started like declining again, and there was this notion of him wanting to improve his swing. He needed to add a little minor difference, a little improvement, and his coach told him like, "Yo, you're gonna suck again for 2 years because the way you swing will be different." He went like this, and after those 2 years, started to embody, Tiger Woods became Tiger Woods, as we know. So a lot of people are afraid of that little hiccup to propel further again, and
yeah.
rather stay in this because it's safe, it's comfortable,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
familiar.
they're afraid to put in the work. You have to put in the
Yeah,
work to get the muscle.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's facts, man. I
yeah,
resonate with that. So that's yeah,
yeah.
that's deep. Yeah, cause I know we gotta go type shit. It's 8:13 over here.
Yeah,
Before I let you go, bro, this has been a first of all, this has been a great, powerful message. I would love to do this again.
so for sure, bro,
At
for
some
sure.
time, in the future.
Yeah,
I think this is amazing.
for sure, man.
What I usually ask people who are on my show that I bring on, I ask them for two simple things. One, a book reference, and then number two, a powerful quote that people can apply to their lives. So,
Go. Book reference. Um, the author is now on top of my. I can't reach it on top of them, but the book is called "Rest is Resistance." Rest is resistance. It's about the the fact how rest is a form of resistance, specifically in capitalism, specifically for black bodies, that we chase the cloud constantly, and that our ancestors basically fought for a freedom for us to chill, and now we can chill. We're like, no, we need to do more, basically. And rest is resistance. Poof, I do not know the author by
I
the top
found
of my
it.
dome.
Is it Trisha Hershey?
Yes.
Got it.
Thanks. Yes. Yes. Rest is Resistance. Powerful book. Recently, I read it a year ago, and that helped me with the notion we talked about this, this rest, man. Just and powerful quote. I mean, I coined it out already. It's truly one of my favorites. Um, but it's very simple, and I think I will just repeat it again, like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But it's a very simple one, but anger gets shit done. Literally, anger gets shit done. And the moments I recognize I'm angry in a situation, that's actually an inherent will for me to change something. If something happens and I disagree with it, I'm like, yo, man, this is fucked up, and etc. I actually see anger coming in. And if I use that anger as a motivation to change the situation, I'm already changing the world for better. So anger gets shit done. And the more we acknowledge that, poof, poof. I'm gonna forward you the link. American Gods, Orlando Jones, a Nancy scene where he puts it in, because that scene, poof, is powerful, powerful, and he just coins it in perfectly, man. So anger gets shit done, and rest is resistance is my recommendation, basically.
Hey, I appreciate it. That's what I'm gonna call this episode. I'm gonna call it anger. I'm gonna call it anger get shit done because that's facts. I agree, bro. Once
Yeah,
again, bro, thank you very much. I really appreciate this, bro. I couldn't ask
thank you,
for a
man.
better conversation from you. And to anybody who's watching this, if you fucked with the episode, you enjoyed the episode, you really got the message. Make
Yeah,
sure you hit a like button, a subscribe button, share it with the world. And till next time, everybody, peace, love, and light.